So, I turned 31 on a couple days ago, and I just wanted to make a video about the things that I learned um in my 20's because I'm 2 years out of my 20's. There's a few things. I think the first one is to always put God first, right? Obviously, I got a college education. You know, about 5, 6 years of accounting experience. Um, and you always got to put God first in everything you do. And and have faith in some sort of higher power, right, outside of yourself. Um, Number two is being able to control yourself, right? Pretty much being able to manage yourself and control yourself and you know, um, being able to do that, right? I didn't really do that very well in my 20's, right? I was kind of just walking chaos, right? Um, and I don't know. I managed to get it done. Um, but I managed to get it done, but it was very difficult. Number three is self respect and adding value, right? Um, you have to add value in everything you do, um, and not just be there, right? I think like sometimes expectation may be just to show up, right? And you have to add value. However you add value, give an insight or you know, not necessarily speak your mind all the time, but you have to give some sort of insight sometimes. Um, Number four, being confident, right? Confidence is number one. In in your personal life or in business or whatever. And Another one is apply what you learned, right? So a lot of times we go through this system where it kind of tells you that okay, you got to get an education and blah 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 blah, right? But you get to be able to apply a lot of that stuff in your everyday life, right? Even if it's your accounting or how you manage your finances, stuff like that, right? And another thing I got out of my 20's is being creative, right? I have like a accounting degree and stuff like that, and business and all that type of stuff. But being able to create, your vision and be able to create a future or some type of envision, right? You have to be able to envision a future that's going to be different than what you are now, what you're doing at that particular moment, right? A lot of times we copy what our parents are doing, or we copy whoever, instead of okay, I got to create a better vision for myself, okay, or a different vision, and being able to okay figure out okay how I'm going to get to that particular vision, right? And kind of get away from that snow globe type attitude. The snow globe is kind of like you have a house and a married family, and I mean, I want to get married one day, but there's no timeline to that, right? And I think I learned that in my 20's too. And everybody's timeline is different, right? And I can't compare myself to anybody else, or I don't think anyone should compare themselves to me, right? Um, and What else? Being able to listen and learn from my mistakes, which a lot of mistakes I've made, right? Being able to continuously learn. I think one thing that um, I think there was a thing. There was I don't know. I was reading somewhere that the difference between a manager and a leader is that leaders learn from their failures, their mistakes, right? You can get through corporate America, right? By just doing simple shit. You can literally get through corporate America, right? I think the difference between or your personal life, right? You being able to learn from your mistakes and being able to learn from other people around you is very important. And one thing I learned about another thing I learned out of my 20's is not trying to fit in, right? Um, Obviously, I'm a human being, right? But I stopped trying to fit in. It's just a waste of time, right? I try to get my goals that I got to get done and do what I got to do. I stopped trying to fit in with people. I don't do that anymore, right? Literally, it's just not worth the time. Um, I just made it. I just don't fit in. I just don't fit in. Fuck it. I think someone told me like a long time ago. I fit in because I don't fit in. So I fit in because I don't fit in. It is what it is, right? So I just stopped trying to fit in altogether. Just fuck it. Um, and another thing that in persistence, patience, and learning over time in my personal life, being able to manage my personal life, um, that's kind of like things that I learned in my 20's. Because I was kind of late, right? I mean, I didn't start paying bills until I was 25, 26 years old. So that's like what, like that's like 5 years of paying bills, right? That's not something I was taught at a young age, right? I wasn't really doing that at a young age. So obviously it's new for me. Um, and this all goes back to putting God first, right? And because we don't know where I'm going to be at 30 years from now, right? I don't honestly, I don't know, right? I mean, obviously, like I have an idea, um, and putting God first is like, okay, well, I don't know I'm going to be at for 30 years from now. I don't know, but again, it's just this is the uncertainty aspect of that. I can't control every little thing around me, right? It's impossible. So obviously, being able to control myself, putting God first, and just trusting the process. I mean, that's going to take me a lot farther down the road, and being able to understand myself and trying to overcome a lot of things. If I can overcome some things, so I can be closer near my vision down the road, and focusing on myself, focusing on winners, right? I don't have to, and it's hard for me not to do that, and not focusing on what that person's doing and what she's doing, what he's doing. It's just all a waste of time. Like, I don't care about what that guy's doing. I don't care about what she's doing. I don't care about what that guy's saying. I'm a very likable person, but again, I gotta focus on what I'm doing at all times, right? Um, and one thing I learned is about being in the present. So I'm getting a little bit of sick, but being in the present is very important, right? I'm like, obviously I got long term goals, but I live my life day to day in a sense that I live my life day to day. I don't really worry that much about tomorrow. I don't care. Like, and one thing about a career and all that stuff, that's all good and all that, but a lot of that is just to pay your bills, right? I focus more on leadership, um, controlling myself, um, having more self respect and self love for me as a person, and controlling what I can't control. There's certain things that I just can't control, right? I can't control my height, my shoe size, and I'm African American. I can't control that. I mean, I didn't ask to be African American, right? It is what it is, right? Um, and those are things I can't control, so we don't really necessarily worry about that. Um, and one thing I learned that, I hate to be negative, but people are going to try to take away things from you, right? There's certain things that people just can't take away from you: your attitude, your work ethic, and the skills that you learn, right? And being able to apply those in any given situation, especially in your personal life, right? And that's what comes with having common sense, which I had to learn the hard way, right? Common sense is like, okay, if you have to apply this shit in your personal life, and what you do in your personal life is what you're going to do in the business world. I had to learn that the hard way, and that's just the reality. The reality is common sense. What you do in your household and what you do in your life, in your personal life, is going to trickle over to everything else, right? You can't hide from anything, right? If you're a miserable motherfucker, sorry, excuse my French, but if you're a miserable person, that energy is going to carry you. And I think one thing that Nipsey Hussle, I love that guy. I love all his music, but one thing that he said in one of his YouTube videos, um, rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle, mastering your emotions, mastering your energy, right? I had to learn that the hard way. And, which I didn't do that very well in my 20s. Mastering your energy in a sense that, okay, you have to, whatever you do is going to follow you wherever you go. You can't run from it, right? Um, and it is what it is. You got to master your energy, and you have to be as positive as possible, right? Even if I don't feel like being positive, I'm going to be positive, right? It's just like it's just a natural state, having a good attitude, natural state. I may not even necessarily be feeling that way internally, right? It's just you have to be able to master your emotions and master your energy, because what you put out is you're gonna be if you put that energy out, you're gonna get that back, right? And I learned that the hard way. In my 20s, I think, uh, you know, and that's facts. So if you put that type of energy out, you're gonna get it back, right? It's a certain energy you just don't want to put out. Certain energy you just want to master that emotion and just put it somewhere else, right? Um, some things I would never get over. And it is what it is, right? And this goes all back to what putting God first, um, controlling what I can control, mastering my energy, my emotions, and carrying myself with a whole lot of self respect. And that's just it. That's the thing that I learned in my 20s. Um, so yeah. All right. Bye. Have a nice day.